Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Monday 10 a.m. business meeting. Looks like we'll just go down the agenda. We'll start with the employee.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jessica Warren, Human Resources. First item I have comes from the board's office. A few salary reclassifications. I hear an echo.
We fixed it.
Okay. A few salary reclassifications. So the current clerk of the board requesting to reclassify her to an executive assistant / clerk of the board at salary grade 590. And then second item is the public records officer, reclassifying her to public records manager at salary grade 555. And this goes along with centralization of public records at the county, along with the newly requested position to assist her in this. And then the last item from the board's office is reclassifying the office specialist to administrative assistant at salary grade 15, as she will also be taking on some additional duties.
Any comments?
Just a quick question. What's the title of the first title I got changed, executive assistant / clerk of the board.
Mhm.
What was the next one?
Public records officer to public records manager.
Okay, thank you.
We all good? Yeah.
We talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this will be effective October 16th. And then next item is a request to fill from the health department. One of their public health nurses, Chelsea Pugh, has put in her resignation. It was effective September 7th, and they would like to refill her position.
Can you share with us a little bit about what her duties have been?
Gina's here.
Hey, good morning, Gina James, Health and Human Services. This particular public health nurse position does the maternal child health work. So they do the work first evaluations as well as the, it's called CHISKIN, Children and Youth with Special Healthcare Needs, referrals that come from different hospitals and pediatricians to help connect to resources for children with special healthcare needs. They also do some of the general communicable disease work as well, but primarily the maternal child health work.
And that's not the grant that we kind of palmed off onto Clark County several years ago.
No, I think you're thinking of Nurse Family Partnership.
Mhm. Are they still doing that for Calais County or?
They are, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Can you tell me what the caseload is?
We typically see about 2 to 3 work first evaluations per month. And those are often in-home evaluations to determine if there's a parent who needs to stay home with their child because of a healthcare need. It's the evaluation helps give information for that determination. And the CHISKIN referrals, we see about 150 each year, which is about 12 per month. And then, as I mentioned, they also fill in and help with some of the typical communicable disease cases that come in.
Can you run through an example that I understand? So some event occurs, the nurse gets involved, and then there's some consequent actions. Can you run through sort of a classic example?
Yeah, are you, let's see. So with the CHISKIN referrals, for example, it could be a baby born with some type of special healthcare needs, like needing a feeding tube or something like that. The hospital will often send a referral to the CHISKIN program. So the nurse then gets that referral information and will reach out to that family and help try to connect them with different resources that may be able to help help them learn about the condition, help them connect with what might benefit the child and the health issue that they're going through. So that's kind of a brief example.
So are those referrals made regardless of income, or is it part of the welfare program supports that are available?
I don't believe that one is connected to income. No.
Okay.
What, it sounds like you described a coordinator rather than a nurse. Am I off?
I see in that example, it's, connecting to certain resources. They're primarily focused around health types of issues. Some of the other duties of the position too, the work first referrals is more of a clinical evaluation of what is the health issue of the child and how is it, what kind of assistance would they need from their parent as part of that evaluation. And as I mentioned, they also fill in with some of the communicable disease casework that comes through the department as well.
And can you give me another example of a referral? Or can I just walk into your office at HHS and just say, I got a 2-year-old, I don't know what to do, seems to be having allergies all the time.
Yep.
This is the individual that would.
Yes, we would connect you and the nurse would reach out and talk about what's going on and resources that might be able to help.
And what is the reason the current person is leaving?
They moved out of the state.
And you accepted that?
Well, we tried to tell her no, but.
Any other questions? Any concerns with it? I think we're good.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I will back up nothing to the previous one. I just want to say everything we've approved here in the commissioner's office is all within existing budget. There's nothing been added. Yeah.
Then the only other items I have on my list are a collective bargaining executive session and then a executive session on the performance of a public employee for the end.
For the end.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Budget.
Good morning, Kathy Funk Baxter, Finance Director. So busy week last week, we brought on our new risk manager, so spent a lot of time with the risk manager. We are preparing for the budget workshop tomorrow for personnel. So we'll be ready for that. And then I also sent out to the commissioners last week some monthly reports. And so the last one that I sent out was for the month of August. And the good news is on our revenue side, we are showing, that our revenues, particularly like, for example, in taxes, which is our by far largest revenue area for the general fund, we're up over last year 3.5%. So.
When you say taxes, is that all taxes or just?
It's all taxes, property taxes, sales tax, other miscellaneous taxes.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. So, any
So that rate of
questions?
increase is actually slowing. 'Cause
Yes.
it has been a higher percentage year over year, but
Yes, it's slowing. Mhm.
to be expected as the economy settles down a little bit.
So that's all I have to report today. Just preparing for budget workshops.
Okay. Thank you, Kathy. Corrections.
Good morning, Marin Fox Corrections.
A brief update on the jail population. Today, we're at 226 with 52 bookings over the weekend. We were quite busy with bookings last week in general. And I ran the report for bookings for the month of September, and I wanted to give you some information on that. We had a 118 bookings for drug charges for some form of possession or possession with intent. 81 bookings for DUIs, 22 bookings for unlawful camping, 9 bookings for shopping cart theft. And should I slow down?
Yeah,
Okay.
for the 81 DUIs,
Mhm.
that's both alcohol and anything else?
Correct.
Okay, thank
And
you.
all of these numbers would include fresh bookings as well as being booked on a warrant. So it could be either or.
And then the next category is 20,
22 for unlawful camping,
thank you.
9 for shopping cart possession, and 117 for theft, third, shoplifting.
117
Mhm.
for,
Shoplifting,
oh,
and 1 for glue sniffing.
Bruce. That's an old habit, isn't it?
One for glue snipping?
That's right. If you're interested in seeing the full report,
Okay.
I'd be happy to send it to you.
So the illegal camping, shopping cart theft and petty theft, shoplifting. Those are all big increases over, say, the last 3 or 4 years. In part because of the change in homelessness policies pursued by the city of Longview. They've been able to pick people up and hold them accountable, or try to anyway.
The unlawful camping is primarily, if not all, city of Longview.
Mhm.
And I could run a comparison, and I will run a comparison from 22 to 23 when we get closer to the end of the year.
and these are all going to appear before a judge sometime here today. And,
Those were for the month of September.
oh, that was the entire month.
That's correct.
Okay.
And I didn't know if today was the day to discuss the IT request when I had the terrible connectivity during the workshop, budget workshop last week, or if you wanted to add that to a different workshop. For the inmate ID system.
Oh, the ID system.
Mhm.
Here she was talking about the.
Right, yeah.
I think we just finally understood really it's just kind of a placeholder. And then when you go out to bid, we'll get probably more details on how it all operates. You'll have probably bids from more than one person. You just reached out to put a placeholder in the budget, so. I
Correct.
think,
We've identified 2 companies that do this that we're interested in. The purchase price is approximately the same, but there is a difference in the yearly price, which I believe was your question, the ongoing yearly price. So that'll definitely be a factor as we're evaluating the responses to the RFPs.
So how do you anticipate your new inmate comes in and they'll spend half a day there, let's say, but it doesn't matter how long they spend, they're gonna have a band of some kind?
I believe there's bands as well as cards that they carry. We have options as far as how you go about implementing, but
Okay, and do you know offhand, do you reuse those bands?
I don't believe so because they have to be,
Okay.
clicked on in a way that they're difficult to tamper with. although
So
I'm
you're
sure they'll
you're
find a way.
proposing to pick up an anticipated supply for 6 months or a year under that contract?
That's correct. And part of the ongoing contract, I'm sure, is the replacement and ongoing supply of the bracelets or the cards
Got
that
it.
aren't reusable.
And that RFID is going to be a proximity thing. So before, under what circumstances do you anticipate this would be used? So I've got the band on me. Now what happens?
So right now, we don't have any identification like that at all. So it'll replace our guard track system, which is how we record our safety checks one of, a primary responsibility of the officers is to check on inmate safety per policy, which is hourly during the day, half hourly at night. And we have a system that's very old that we do that with. So this would also replace that. It would allow us to better track inmate activity. So when we send them to the yard, the officers will have like a cell phone essentially, and they can identify that they sent them to the yard, and then it's recorded in the system.
Do they have to enter this cell in order to do that?
You would do that as they're having them leave the cell. The same with like medication. It will allow tracking to show better track what we're doing, or better show what we're doing, really, because we don't have a system that shows. So if someone were to file a grievance, say, I never got to go to the yard the entire time I was there. Now we don't have a system to identify whether or not they did. This would allow us to
Right.
identify, what we provided for them.
I'm curious about the future. It seems like we're subject oftentimes to having to keep a pretty close eye on the inmate in terms of health.
Mhm.
So like this watch I have here, I push a button, it tells me what my pulse ox is or my heart. Do we have any of that in mind for the future?
We've looked at that technology in the past. It's not something we've moved forward with, and I don't believe that's part of what this project would be.
Is there any interest in it is kind of my question. I assume it's a little bit out of reach right now, and we have to digest this RFID and get the policies worked out there, but we're approaching the time where if we take a look ahead, we might.
Sure. As I said, we've looked at it in the past. I would assume it was a pretty high price point, but I'd be happy to look at the technology again. It may have changed by now.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? That's all I had.
Three square meals a day means they're going to be very healthy to begin with, so
That's right.
probably don't have to be that precise in monitoring.
Yeah, sure. All right.
Thanks, Marin.
Thank you.
IT.
Morning, Commissioners. Kim Hort, IT Director. Kind of the same report from last week. We are focused on our phone rollout. We are working with the administration building this week. So our team is ready to push a lot of phones out to departments. And then administrative wise, I'm working on the CGIS audit. So similar to what I reported last week.
For the average occupant in this building, then what should they see? So I'm at my desk and somebody comes in and says, I'm swapping out your phone and it takes 5 minutes and then we're done.
We're estimating at most 15. We timed a full, like plugging in the phone, doing a firmware update, and we're averaging about 7. Our goal is to get that even less. We know it's going to be a disruption to the departments. So we're kind of putting in a window of time and kind of working in the departments. We're not taking all the phones offline at once. It's maybe 3 or 4 at a time, but we're averaging about 7, but estimating about 15.
Okay, so for the individual, this should not be a big deal.
That's the goal.
Okay. And then the cyber security assessment, could you give us the timelines on that again?
The CGIS audit,
Yeah,
that one is performed every 3 years. And so our last one was in 2020, and we're working with corrections, the juvenile center, prosecuting attorney's office, and submitting questionnaires. And then we'll have an audit. I believe it's scheduled later this month, early November, for a phone call with the Washington State Patrol.
and one thing we talked about any number of times is part of that is going to be the request from the courts for additional cameras and server. And that's all on track.
That is kind of in the early stages. We got funding approved last week. And then I spoke with our new risk manager and apprised him of kind of the project history and where we're going, and then coordinating a time to do a final walkthrough with the vendor. And I'm looking probably late October, early November for that one as well, due to schedules.
I would guess more like November. It's almost Halloween.
That's to get like the final walkthrough to where we can finalize what our contract will look like.
Yeah.
My goal is to start working Q1 of 2024.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Kim. Any miscellaneous, anything else?
On a miscellaneous, what's happening for the Wednesday meeting? Is that on? I should have paid closer attention. That's an evening meeting.
Well, Wednesday meeting was canceled?
It was canceled. Nobody submitted an agenda.
The night, the afternoon meeting.
Mhm.
In fact, everything on Wednesday is canceled?
Okay,
And then Thursday, we have the field trip. Yeah. Rain or shine,
Beg your pardon?
rain or shine,
Oh, that's the trip
yeah,
on
Thursday.
Wednesday. Oh, now I recall.
Yep.
Yeah.
on Thursday is the trip.
On Thursday is. the
Thursday's
trip.
a trip.
So
What's it got to do with Wednesday or I'm out
nothing.
to lunch?
It's just
Oh,
the
okay.
next- It's just the next activity.
Well, with my hearing and they say it's Wednesday, I say, no, the air isn't blowing much.
So I have enjoyed the anticipation of Fridays off, but I haven't had any yet. I have meetings that I'm always going to, so I'm zooming from home.
You need to switch
And I think
those
we probably
around.
all experience that
Yeah.
as many of our agencies meet on Fridays, so.
Yeah, this Friday I was at the Clean Air meeting and that, by the way, for people who don't know, the Clean Air Agency is run by a fellow, Yuri Papish, and I think he does a great job. And it's really pretty much a check the box kind of thing. There's a set of EPA rules and he does a very good job of not trying to drum up extra work by saying, well, really, we shouldn't have airplanes flying out of a private airport because airplane fuel is still got pollutants, that kind of stuff. So he's laying, and the general fees or for violations have gone up. That's enough, I guess.
I just always remember his acknowledging the complexity of federal rules and regulations. I filled in one time for Joe, I think before you joined, and I may have shared this story before. But they announced that they were having to lower the standards, which is the standards allow how much particulate is acceptable. And so the lower the number, the more difficult it is to meet the regulations, right? And they explained that they had to do that because of the increased particulate in the Vancouver airshed. And I asked why the increase, and they said, well, all the forest fires. And the wind blows all the forests, ash into the urban area. So we have to raise the rules, increase the strictness of the what's allowable on the small businesses. And I said, but they didn't have anything to do with causing the particulate. This doesn't matter. That's what the rules require. If you detect the particulates, you gotta act. We don't regulate big business and we don't regulate cars. We just regulate small business.
Yeah, the fires actually caused them a great deal of problem. If you look at the charts where they say, use whatever metric you want, but they generally the 2.5 parts per million kind of thing. And you will see that it goes along and then it goes like that. And I mean dramatically like that. That's a fire. And then they have for the alerts, there's advisories and there's alerts. Interestingly enough, some of the universities here cooperate. They put together they have a MODEL model of the weather dynamics, and they plug in the certain conditions, and based on that, they may issue you an alert. You may go outside and think, looks fine. Just like when the weather forecaster says it's going to be pouring rain, you go out there and And so there is a little bit of arbitrariness in there. When they get to that's for an alert. The advisory stage is a little more stringent. Anyhow, yeah. Don't go out in the fire.
I do have an item on
Yeah.
miscellaneous. In November, the WASAC has their annual leadership conference. And we need to start registering. So it also includes a board meeting that I have to give reports to. So I will need permission to register and go to that conference. Hopefully, both of you will go, and it is open for all count.
That's up in Olympia?
It's in, I think, Spokane this year. They usually rotate between Spokane and Tacoma every
Yeah.
once in a while in King County.
No, in a case like that, does WASAC pick up the tab?
No.
It's always us.
It's always us.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I don't, might be one I attend, but do you know the dates on it? Have they sent it out yet?
There's coming out.
So it will be coming out
17th of November.
somewhere around there.
Yeah, I'll probably not go, but I would guess the chairman should go, and if Dennis, I'm okay with all those.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Then we had, Jessica, you had a couple, collective bargaining. How long do you think? 20 minutes? And performance of a public employee? Okay. So we can adjourn to executive session for that. Okay, back from executive session, where we completed a collective bargaining session and performance of public employee. No decisions were made. Jessica?
Hello again, Jessica Warren, Human Resources. I would like to request authorization from the board to increase the employer contribution to health insurance for our non-represented exempt group to $18.50 a month, plus reinstating the Kaiser HSA contribution of $100.
Okay,
I'll make that motion.
we have a motion on the floor. Any other questions? I don't see any hands. Call for a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
I also vote aye. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you, commissioners.
Mhm. Anything else for the 10 a.m. meeting? Okay, we will adjourn the 10 a.m. meeting.